Welcome back to the Boro Buzz, your inside podcast for all access for your stories inside and off the court.
What's up, Boro Nation? And welcome to the Boro Buzz, the all-access pass to everything sports in and around the borough. We're talking inside the lines and behind the scenes, athletes, coaches, refs, and the stories you don't hear on game day. If it's happening in the gym, on the field, or in the locker room, you'll hear it here. This is the Boro Buzz.
This episode is sponsored by Just Keep Swinging. From top quality equipment to custom apparel like hats, shirts, and more. They're more than just sporting goods store. They are here to support our athletes and community every step of the way. Whether you're gearing up for game day or looking to rep your team with fresh merch, Just Keep Swinging has you covered. Give them a follow today.
Today's guest, I couldn't think of a better than Asheboro Blue Comets head coach basketball, Brian Nance. How you doing, Coach Nance?
Very well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I appreciate you coming. And let's give a shout out to our sponsor, Just Keep Swinging. They're coming back with us for a year. And I want to give a shout out to Curtis and Kelly Cole with this awesome merch. I'm actually wearing Corey Media that I got made by him. And I got a request in for a Ric Flair robe for you, Coach Nance.
There you go.
Coach, as we kickstart this, I just want to, coming off this season, I mean, you were a young team. You might have lost, I think, three
seniors.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that team this year and how they've grown as a unit, really.
Well, looking back, coming out of the summer, we had a lot of question marks. I have a lot of new people, a lot of new faces. Lost some pretty talented kids from a year ago in Osiris and Elijah and those guys. And we had some sophomores that we were kind of seeing what they could do. Could they plug some holes? And then, of course, some of the rising juniors, Jeremiah, Garrison Cheek, those guys had not seen a lot of playing time. So, it was kind of up in the air. They finished the summer out pretty well. I had a stretch in there where we were really learning how to play. And when we got started once football was over and we got everybody together, we had the scrimmage on Saturday and started playing on Tuesday. And it got better each game. Mm-hmm. We won the first game, but it was kind of a struggle, and then we played a little better as we went along. Christmas time was a good time for us, winning that Christmas tournament.
How many years have you won that now? Consecutively, because didn't you win last year too?
No, so when we came back in the building, we won it the first year. It was us and Randleman. Then Randleman won it last year, and then we won it. It was us and Randleman again this year.
But you've been in the championship ever since coming back.
Yeah, all 3 years. But we've won, I don't know, 6 or 7 of them, I guess, since I've been there, going back to the Courier days, and a bunch of runner-up finishes. We've had several runner-up finishes. But
do with all the trophies.
Yeah, so we got a lot of stuff in that office that I never go to. It's just a storage facility is what it's turned into. But Christmas was good to us. I mean, Randleman had a very experienced team, as we just saw. They went to the third round of the state playoffs.
Only team really to give Reedsville a run right now.
Yeah, and he had, I think, eight seniors, so he had a very experienced team. So that gave us kind of indication that we were going to be okay. We had played some very athletic teams in High Point Central and Northwest Guilford. Both of them were overtime losses. And so we knew that was the type of athleticism we were going to see in the new conference. Got off to a good start in the conference. We were 3-1 when the snow hit, and that 2 weeks kind of hurt us a little bit. We're a little more strict on policies in Asheboro City Schools about practicing when school's not in for weather. So I know some of the Guilford schools had already been back in the gym and some other people around us. And then I think finally the straw that finally got us back in the gym was the fact that Randolph County was allowed to start practicing. Yeah. And then Dr. Woody talked to them and got us back in the gym for a day or so. And we just had a tough stretch. I mean, we played that Saturday. Then we played Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then we were off Thursday. And then we played Friday. And then we played Monday and Tuesday, and then we had a day off, and then we played Thursday.
So we're getting home at 1 a.m. about every night.
We played 8 games in like 12 days or whatever, and that's a lot of basketball. I mean, colleges don't do that. No. NBA doesn't do that. And when you've been sitting around the house for 2 weeks, it's tough. But those kids, they came back, and it was kind of like riding a roller coaster. They had a tough game against Northern, bounced back and won against Northeast at home, and got a win against Southern at home, and against Eastern Guilford back-to-back nights on Monday and Tuesday, with the last regular season game and the conference tournament game, and they were in a good battle in the first round of state playoffs, and I think the other team's experience with the eight seniors and a lot of guards just took over late, and they were a tough matchup for us. Their record was very deceiving. They were in a very tough split conference, 6A, 7A, with Weddington and Charlotte Catholic, who's still in it right now. They're in the Final Four, and I think Marvin Ridge, who just got put out last night, and they were in a very, very tough league. And so I knew when they came in that would be a tough game for a first round game. But 17 wins. If you would have told me that back in July when we ended our summer basketball, I would have taken it at that point. And I told the kids, 13 to 15 wins in high school basketball is a good season. 16 to 19 is a really good season, and 20 and above is an outstanding season. So to end up with 17 and, you three seniors in Joel and Eli and Reed, I thought that was a great accomplishment for them.
And piggybacking off of that, when's the last time you've had a 500 or below season?
500, we had a 500 season, I think, when Tyshawn and those guys were, Tyshawn Freshwater was a junior. I think we ended up 13-13 after the loss at Cox Mill.
What year would you think that, if you had a guesstimate?
Go back and see when Leaky Black and Wendell Moore and the Carawell kid were all at Cox Mill. That should have been around 2018, 17, somewhere in there. Yeah, I think it was 18. Had to be about 2018. It was after Emmanuel and all that group, and Preston Russell and that group got out. But that was, we had lost a lot from the year before. I had one of my bigger senior class. I think I had 5 or 6 seniors, and it was kind of a rebuilding year. And those guys all came up from JV, and they struggled early on, and then they got going and finished about third or so in the conference, and then we had to go to Cox Mill in the playoffs, and they hadn't lost a game all year, and you could tell early on that was going to be a tough night. I mean, Wendell Moore, I think, blocked the first 2 or 3 shots we attempted, and so I think we were like 13-13 or 12-12 or something like that.
That's pretty good stats right there. If it's 2018 is the last time you've been 500. I mean, you weren't even really below 500.
No. Wow. We've been very fortunate. I was telling Scott that he came by and talked to me before the playoff game. So Coach Smith took the program back over the same year that I started at Randleman, 96, 97. And he got it turned around. Asheboro had gone a couple years or so not being very competitive and not being in the playoffs. And since that time, we've qualified for state playoffs every year but the COVID year.
Oh, wow.
The COVID year, they cut the bracket in half, and we were in a tie because they only counted the first round of our conference season because we didn't finish the second round. We didn't even play. I don't even think we played Southeast Guilford. They ended up with COVID both times. And then we didn't play Southwest Randolph the second time. They had a COVID outbreak. So they went by the first 5 games or whatever, and we were in a tie with Burlington Williams.
Oh, wow.
And we had to draw it out of a hat.
What?
And I've never...
A legit hat.
Yeah, and I've never won a draw the whole 30 years I've been doing this. So they got to go, and we stayed at home. But that was the only year, and that's 30 years because this was my 30th year. So 29 out of the last 30 years, the boys program has qualified for state playoffs. That's a pretty good run. Yeah. I mean, because I look around, for instance, Central Cabarrus, they won like 100 games in 3 years or whatever it was, and then the next year they had a poor season. I mean, they just really fell off. Now they were back up this year and had a pretty decent team, but we've never experienced that, and I hope nobody does, whoever, me or whoever follows me and takes it over, and I hope they can continue it on.
I feel like you're going to do another 15, 20 years. I think that's something we all are wondering, Nance.
I don't know. I mean, We've only been out of it a week, and I mean, there's a lot of things that's changed. Kids have changed.
Yeah. That was actually my next question.
Yeah, things are changing, and there's a lot of dynamics involved in it that sometimes it makes it a little tougher. And you know, when I was 28 and 38, it may have not been a big deal, but when I'll be 58 next month.
Oh wow!
And I'm telling you, it's a little more stressful sometimes, and handling certain situations. A lot of kids just they're just different this day and time, and the social media plays a big part in it. All that stuff. See, when I first started, cell phones were just becoming a thing. Kids didn't even have cell phones. I mean, you know, we had practices, so I had to actually pick up the phone and call kids at home and tell them when practices were and that kind of stuff. And then we evolved into flip phones and stuff, and the text, and I had to learn how to text. And so I've kind of been through it all. And now, I mean, you know, you got all this social media and stuff, and they can access anything, and it changes a lot of them's perspectives on things.
Well, they're a little more blunt than they should be on social media at times.
Yeah, and I have to stay on kids. You know, that was one thing with Jaquarius and even Tyshawn the year he was with us, because they had obviously expressed an interest in going on to school. Social media stuff. I mean, people are going to see that stuff, so be careful. Even if you're just reposting something a friend put, it may not be something that they're inclined to approve.
Yeah.
And it may turn them off. And Jaquarius did a good job. He kept his stuff pretty
Tight.
calm and tightened up, and so we didn't have any problems there. But I have had kids over the years that I'll have to send them a text, hey, you might want to take that down. Hey, you might not want to, you know, promote this stuff or whatever. And, you know, that's just part of growing up. Yeah. And but we'll see. I mean, you know, I still enjoy it. It's just how you do things. Sometimes you gotta modify and change with the times.
That's why I was asking, because I asked the same question to OG Gary, and he gave me an age, but he keeps changing his mind. He's like, when I don't love it anymore, I'll stop.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, when you feel like I mean, I'll be honest, it's not work. I mean, the first 5 years after I got out of college, I had a job. You know, I was a sales rep for a while with Brown and Williamson Tobacco, and then worked for Burlington Industries as a cost accountant, and that was work. I mean, you had to go in, you had stuff you had to do every day, and it could be tedious and time consuming, and you had to work until you got the job done. So there were nights that I was in the office at the knit plant in Denton until 7, 8, 9 o'clock. I mean, you know, that's the job, that's work. Going to school and dealing with these kids every day is not work. I mean, now some people, for some it is. I mean, those teachers in the classroom, I should, you know, for them it can be a lot of time consuming work. Mm-hmm. But for me in the sports, it's not really what I consider hard work. I mean, we work hard, but it's fun. Yeah. And, you know, I still enjoy it. I still enjoy seeing the kids every day. I look forward to PE and getting in there and cutting up with kids, and because that's a place where they can come after they've been in a box for 90 minutes with math or science or English or whatever the case may be, and they can kind of let go a little bit and have some fun and express themselves. And we try to keep them reined in to a point, but, you know, that's the time to kind of get that extra energy out of them before they go back to, you know, Miss Carol's math class, and she doesn't want them bouncing off the walls or whatever. And
wow, so, that's a name I hadn't heard in a while.
Yeah, she's back. She's back. I actually had her 1980 and 81, my 7th grade year, first year at South Asheboro Junior High.
Wow. Were you and Dan Jordan in the same class?
No, he's a year ahead of me.
Okay.
Or 2 years ahead of me. Okay. Dan was a senior when I was a sophomore.
Okay.
He's class 84. But she was there, and we were scheduled to have her for math, and then science. I'm sorry, we was scheduled to have her for science, and then Ray Scott, who was teaching at there at the time, left to go to Jordan Matthews and just do driver's ed. And we ended up having Miss Carol for 3 periods. We had her for math, science, and health. So we just stayed in there for 3 straight periods. And so I've known her since I was 12 years old.
She grabbed me by the ear. I remember one time she grabbed me by the ear and yanked me out of class.
And she still gets after those kids. I'll go by her classroom, and she'll say, now, this young man here, I had to do. And I'm like, golly, you're telling stories that I really don't need these kids.
Did you get the chair, though, Coach? Did you get the chair, the desk that she has right there?
Oh, yeah. I had to sit beside her several times. And her and then Miss Betty Martin that I had that was kind of her mentor in the math department at South Asheboro. I sat beside both their desks a lot in the 7th, 8th, 9th grade. So I've experienced all that.
And before we dive into like the more deeper basketball stuff, what I know you're a Blue Comet alumni, and you can spit out facts like I've never believed you. Like you just said earlier, oh, he was 84, oh, he's 81, he's this. What you know when you started your coaching career, what made you want to come back home to Asheboro? Because you left a really solid Trinity program. You're at Randleman, you know.
Well, so the whole backstory is this. My dad graduated, well, my whole family. My aunt is 93 now, graduated in 1950 from Asheboro when the building first opened. My Uncle Norman was Mr. Blue, well, they didn't call it Mr. Blue Comet. It was most athletic. He and Craig York's aunt, Peggy Scholler.
Okay.
They were most athletic boy and girl 1953 class. He was quarterback for Coach Stone and played basketball and all that stuff. And then my dad graduated in 1960. He was part of that undefeated 1958 football team, and then was on one of the state championship basketball teams with Coach Smith. So I knew Coach Smith when I was really young. And, of course, he took over basketball mid-'70s. My dad would take me to the games as I got into elementary school. And then, of course, Kyle was right behind me. Derek, so knew the family. I just thought, I don't know, he was just the coolest thing to watch him. He was always kind of cool on the sidelines, dressed really nice. And it just kind of got my interest up. And I knew when I got to high school, you know, and I tell the kids this, I wasn't an all-conference player. You know, I was that guy sitting on a bench, you know, not getting much playing time in sports. Played a little more in football than I did, obviously, in other sports. But I enjoyed being around Coach Smith and those guys. And so I said, well, I think that's what I want to do. Well, my mom was a school teacher. She taught for 39.8 years, which is a very long time. And when I was getting ready to get out of school, we went through the same thing we went through several years ago. Well, we're actually going through it right now. They haven't approved a budget. Mm-hmm. Salaries are frozen. But they went through a 2 or 3 year period where teacher salaries were frozen. They got no steps. They got no raises. So my parents told me, they said, you're not going to school to be a school teacher. Your mom, you know, is going through all this, and you're just not going to do that. You need to find something else. So I did, and ended up with degrees in accounting and business management and economics, and came out of state and went to work. That first sales job was really cool. Allowed me to do a lot of things. Bought my first house when I got home from Mike Mize over on Rocky Lane, and so I was kind of living the life there, single, plenty of money, nice job, had a company car, thought all that was great. They bought American Tobacco in Reedsville. They downsized, so some of us got let go. So I went to work for Burlington Industries, and I was in Wake County at the Wake plant for a while, and then was transferred to Denton, and still was doing some rec coaching from the time I got home, 13, 14-year-old, which is your age group that you've got. And I really enjoyed that, and kept eyeballing school sports and thinking, well, what if? Well, then Burlington shut that plant down, and I was going to have to move out of state. And Sherry and I had just gotten married. She had a job at High Point Regional, and I didn't want to rip her out of all that. So I lateral entry to Randleman. I tried at Asheboro, but at the time they said they were not hiring lateral entry employees.
When you say lateral entry, is that just mid-year?
No, what that is, you have a degree, for instance, minor in business, and if it matches up to a curriculum, like there are people that major in certain sciences, they could, without a teaching degree, they could be hired to teach science. Okay. And you have to go back and take the education portion and the teacher's exams, and they give you 3 years. So they hired me at Randleman, and of course I'd worked for Coach Bulla as a lifeguard at the city pool, so I had a connection there. So he told me,
Bulla,
yeah,
like,
D-Bulla. So they had a job there teaching business courses. Somebody had retired, and I actually went to work on August 8th of 1996 and started helping with football after the first week, and then the deal was I was going to help Gary Leach with boys basketball. Well, about October, Terry Linthicum gave up the girls' position he had had for 10 or 12 years. He actually coached Sherry and Shelley when they were in school. And he went to the principal and said, get Brian to do it. And I went, okay. So I kind of got thrown from rec league to a head varsity job just like that, and inherited a really good team with Haven Webster and Stephanie West and Mandy Hurley and all those kids. And they had come off some really good years with Brandy Cook. And he was a really good mentor to me. I could go to he wouldn't come to practices, he wouldn't come to games, but I could go to his room every day. And so that got me through at Randleman, and I passed my teacher certification and was teaching business. And the last year at Randleman, a lot of people had left. I ended up being the athletic director and coaching 3 sports and teaching 2 classes, mowing fields, lining fields. Kesley had been born. I didn't see her awake except on the weekends for like months at a time. And Daryl Barnes contacted me from Trinity, and Doug Tuggle was going to become the athletic director only, and so he offered me a chance to come to Trinity to just do girls basketball.
And boys assistant, right?
Well, that came after I got there, but the deal was I don't have to coach one sport, and because of the Trinity AT tax supplement, I'd actually be making almost as much as I was making doing all that at Randleman.
Yeah.
And so I scooted up there, and unfortunately, Kyle Spencer and the chorus teacher, I was supposed to take Kyle's place as a business job, and they ended up, she got pregnant and they got married and had a kid, so he didn't leave. So that was they looked at my transcripts, all the foreign language credits, so I had to do another lateral entry type deal, and I taught Spanish 1 for 3 years.
You taught Spanish?
Oh, yeah. And
That's
had to go back to RCC, take more classes.
Yeah.
And then in the midst of all that, I thought, well, this will be a good time to learn more basketball. So they got out at 2:40 back then. I don't know what they do now. So practices were 3 to 5, 5 to 7. So I would go to the boys' practice if they were early and help Coach Kelly, and then do my practice, or vice versa, every day. And Sherry was good about that. I mean, I'd get home late. Of course, I was getting home late from Randleman anyway, so she was used to it. And I learned a lot of basketball from him that first year that I, took bits and pieces on with me. And he was the one that actually recommended, when Sam Whitley got the football job, for me to apply at Asheboro. And I said, they are not going to hire a girls coach as the boys coach at Asheboro. You need to put your name in there. So I did, and here we are 20 years later, and it's been a lot of fun. And so I tell people I got to where I wanted to be. It just took a while. It took 10 years to kind of get back, and because I had applied for the girls' job at Asheboro a couple times, but they hired from inside. And so I was happy cruising right along there in the county, and things were going good. And then, like I said, Coach Kelly just kept, right after that season, kept hammering me about, you should apply, you should, try.
Was that after you got your ring?
Yeah, that was a couple of years after the ring. Yeah, that was exciting. I'm gonna tell you. I mean, people just don't know until they've been in it what a process that is, and playing in that Dean Dome. That was one thing I learned. So I was the errand boy. They put you in a locker room, and it feels like a football field from the actual court. And Coach Kelly's group, they had these warm-ups, and they would come out and do this stuff, and then at Trinity, they just run in that little locker room, take off part of it, come back out, do it, and then take off more stuff. I mean, it was the most, complicated deal I'd ever seen. They had more stuff to take off than I'd ever seen. And I told him, I said, if they run back and forth to that locker room 3 times, they're not going to be ready to play. They're going to be dead laying on the bench. So I was tucked inside the tunnel, and they would come and dump that stuff off on me, and I would run it to the locker room and put it in a bag, and I'd come back and wait on the next group, and then the final warm-up, and then I ran back out and got out there for the national anthem. So, yeah, I was the gopher. And awesome. And I was sitting right there at the scores table, and Josh King, I still want to choke him. They had that lead. They had that game won. They were up 12, 13 points, and he had pulled the ball out and was running the clock out. And Josh tried to drive in, and the Swinton boy from Dudley just whap off the board. Coach Kelly's like in my face, just screaming at me about why is Josh still trying to score. He said, does he think Roy Williams is going to give him a scholarship? Because Roy Williams was sitting directly across from us. And I said, I don't know, but I'll go ask him. And he goes, no, just stay right here. So Josh came by, and I grabbed him by the shorts. I said, if you shoot it again, I'm coming on the court. I said, I'm getting screamed at for you. So it was something all the time, me and Coach Kelly. He's a really good friend. Yeah. He was a good mentor to me.
I don't think no one's ever heard that story. No, that's a pretty good story.
They probably hadn't. There's a lot of stories. I mean, me and Coach Kelly, we had some times. He was something else, and he gets so. Of course, his health has declined a lot, and That's the thing about getting older.
Yeah.
It's tough to see him like he is now when you know, 23, 4 years ago, how it was and the energy he had. And people don't understand what he put into that program because I see all this stuff on social media now, the Reedsvilles, and I'm not taking anything away from the Reedsvilles and places like that, but they get kids in from everywhere.
Yeah.
The unique thing about him, he had Trinity kids, and he worked with them from the time they rolled into that middle school until the time they graduated. And they lived in Trinity and grew up in Trinity, and they were from Trinity. And he would always say, I wonder what I could do if I was at Dudley or I was at this one where they get all these athletes. And I said, well, I don't know, Coach Kelly. I don't know if your style would work because he was tough on those kids. But they respected him, and they would run through walls for him. And they started that at a young age.
Yeah.
And though that was good times. And like I said, I learned a lot. And he's still a really good friend to me. And I miss him being in control of Trinity and being the head guy. That's something, you know, I'm it. I mean, Burton Cates has been around forever, and then the next longest running act's me right now, 30 years. And a lot of people have, I mean, Daniel Mitchell's leaving, and he's been at Ranneman forever compared to what we had. I mean, when I was there, I guess I had 3 or 4 boys head coaches in 7 years. Mm-hmm. He's been a stable person at Ranneman, and now he's going on. Yeah. I've seen people come and go at Southwest. Now Matt's been there a while. I've seen a whole boatload of people at Eastern Randolph over the years.
You see Baxter leave and come back and leave.
Yeah, I mean Seth, he bounced around like I did there for a while, and then he's been back at Southwest for a while now. That's the one thing is you get a lot of friendships, and then they kind of come and go, and you know, I miss a lot of those. I do. But you know, you got people like Luther, and you got Reitmeyer at Randleman, and you younger guys, and so I'm kind of in Coach Kelly's shoes now. Not that I'm the coach he was or is or anything, but I'm saying I'm the older guy, and so you know it kind of keeps me going. Wes keeps something going all the time, and with he and Varner and all those guys, we kind of interact a lot, and so it still makes it fun. Yeah, and you know, there's gonna come a time just like with Coach Kelly when I'm gonna say I'm ready to. You know, just watch somebody else. And
except Jamborees. I see he still gets up there. And
yeah, he'll come by with Brett and hang out. And then he's so funny because they've struggled the last couple of years, and you know, everybody knows that. But he came up to me, and he had a pack of M&Ms at the Christmas tournament. He was getting ready to play somebody, and he said, hey, come here. And I go over there, and he said, you know, the best thing about this, just helping is, I said, what's that, Coach Kelly? He goes, none of this counts against my record. I said, well, you got a good point. He said, I can just come and go when I want to. I said, well, yeah, there you go. So, yeah.
Oh, man, and I know you got to go here soon, but as we wrap up, I want to ask a few questions, kind of humorous side. What's the most common thing players say after a loss that you've seen in your 20-plus tenure?
Most common thing?
Yeah.
Ooh, we played like garbage. Or we were trash. That's the new things, and I'm like, trash. I mean that's coming after overtime losses, and I'm like, you just played 2 really good teams to double overtime and overtime. I don't think you're trash. I don't think you're garbage.
And you beat everybody in conference this year at least once.
Yeah, we beat everybody in the conference, and I mean, I hate to say this on something that they're going to see, but coming out of the summer, realistically, I was thinking if I could beat some of the ones towards the bottom, maybe split with the middle guys, probably not going to compete with Northern and Northeast, well, then we split with them. And so
that had to be a proud moment for you.
They exceeded my expectations. And you know, and I told them, I said, you know, I didn't want to put any doubt in their head about anything, but they really did. And like I said, that crunch with the 8 games in 12 days, they did a good job handling that. I mean, some teams could have just slid and not won a game. Yeah. And I told somebody after the Northern game, because that game was a 1-point game with 4 minutes to go in the third quarter, the first one we played back, and they ended up in a running clock. We just ran out of gas. It looked like somebody popped a balloon, and we just died. And I told Wes, I said, we may not win another game. I mean, I don't know if we can get back to what we were doing. But to their credit, they kept their nose to the grindstone and kept working, or playing, I should say. There wasn't no work to it. There was no practice time, but they kept playing and had some big games in that stretch. And to go 6-4 and all that, and get a home playoff game. That was good. So, but yeah, we're trash. We're trash. I'm like, okay.
So you'll like this next question. What's the most creative excuse you've ever heard for being late for practice?
Yeah. I don't know. It wasn't a creative excuse. Hair appointment. Getting her hair twisted. It took 3 hours or whatever. And I'm like,
3 hours.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
3 hours to get your hair twisted. And I mean, according to JJ's mom, LaQuanda and all them, I mean, that's could be truthful. But I actually, the next time, and I'll tell you, it was Joel when he was younger. So earlier this year, he had a hair appointment up here at LaQuanda's, and I said, get it at this time, and I'm taking you. So I dropped him off to make sure he was there on time so he could make it to practice, and he was waiting on her to get back to the shop. But yeah, the hair twisting deal, I was like, okay, all right, good enough.
Well, Scott's not here on this episode, but who stresses a coach out more, refs or parents?
Probably the parents.
Yeah.
And it really hasn't been a lot. It's just been a select few over the course of time, maybe unhappy with playing time or whatever. But, and I tell them at the parent meeting, I mean, you're not at practice every day. So you don't really know what's going on. And it never fails. You put a kid in, and they look like an All-American for a minute. But they've not looked like that in practice.
Yeah.
And they think, well, why ain't he playing all the time? Well, because every day in practice, he doesn't look like this.
Yeah.
And he shines for a minute. But that stuff and the social media, that's where I go back to the social media. And it's not just high school. I mean, it's college. I mean, I saw last night they're just busting Will Wade at state.
Well, parents, they don't hold back on their social media.
No, and they get on there and they don't understand that hurts it. That hurts teams and that hurts kids more than anything, because forget about Asheboro. I mean, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I've been doing it forever. I care less. Because I've said this many times, that if they keep yelling at me from the bleachers, I may just toss them the keys and go out the back door. Because, I mean, I've got 160-some sick days. I can go home now and never look back. So it's not that big issue. But going back to the college thing, some of them have aspirations for their kids. Well, those colleges will look at parents. They will look at family. They will look at the kids' social media. If they see you on there ripping coaches or ripping teams or ripping other players or degrading other kids on the team, they're not going to talk to your child, because they don't want that around. They're not going to pay money for you to come and then you're doing that kind of stuff. And I'm to the point now. I'm just not. It doesn't really faze me, but I'm not going to put other kids through it either. And we've had situations like that where other parents are on not just their kid, but other kids. And you need to stay in your lane and worry about yours and let us worry about the group as a whole. But, that's probably the parents. The officials, as I've gotten older, it doesn't really. Now, when I was younger, I was up. My wife gets said stuff about that. You used to stand up all the time, and I'm in that chair 90% of the time. And Wes gets on to me. He said, you get away with a lot of stuff I never get away with. I'm like, you got to pick your battles, man. You got to be smooth about it. You can't be up ranting and raving at them all the time. Let them come by and get a word in here and there. But they don't. I mean, there's a shortage, and we're having to bring in people from everywhere. So I just look at the official situation as don't let that. Don't worry about the stuff you can't control. If it's a good crew, it's a good crew. If it's not so good crew, it's a not so good crew. Just coach the kids, see what happens. Tell the kids, look, we're fortunate we got 3 officials. Mm-hmm. We're actually getting to play, because there's been times where we've had to cancel or move games because there's not enough officials. And so that doesn't really.
You just yell at Scott next to you if you have a problem.
Now, if Scott sits down, it becomes like, a comedy show, because I like to ride Scott anyway. And especially when he's wearing Dallas stuff, sitting right beside of my bench. So I start in on him, and we have a good time. We even got we had Brian Biggs, the state representative, came in the Christmas term. He was said, so he got a little action too. I got on him about not having a budget passed and different things, and Scott was like, "Holy smokes!" I said,
"Did he warn him?"
He told him. He said, "You sit over here now, Nance." I said, "It's fair game." I said, "You're in the danger zone. You get over here right beside of me." So I had a good time with that. But yeah.
And my last question, I'll let you go. I know you got to get to class. I appreciate you coming here. Looking back, I know you're not retiring, but looking at full circle, looking at from your middle school program currently to high school, what do you want Asheboro Blue Comet basketball to be known for when you leave it, Coach Nance?
I want it to be known to be a consistent success and to take kids, that maybe didn't have the greatest situation in life coming through and help them go on and be able to take care of themselves and their own families. It's not so much, obviously everybody likes winning. Winning's fun. Losing's not fun. But at the same time, I want to see them, just like with Jaquarius. People ask this question all the time, well, are you going to try to get him back here? No. I want him to stay as far away from Asheboro as he can because he's having such an experience down there. He's making straight A's in school. He's playing 25, 26 minutes a game. He's averaging 8 points a game as a freshman. He gets too close to home. Being from Asheboro, I know there's a lot of things that can drag you down. Mm-hmm. And it's sad because I've had some kids, I get a lot of flack sometimes. These kids didn't go to college. They didn't have the grades. They didn't have somebody backing them at home. And as I've gotten older, I've gotten better at helping them myself with the help of some other people like Kendall and those guys. But I want them to be able, once they leave Asheboro, to be successful, not just, I ride through over here on the other side of town. Well, there he was. He was a great high school athlete. Here he is hanging out. He's doing nothing. Yeah. I want him to get something out of playing at Asheboro and being a part of it. Be successful, be respectful, and be a good representative of their family, their school, and their community. And if they can do that, then they're going to have some success in life. And Jaquarius is obviously he's the shining illustration of it all right now because with his situation, losing his mom and them having to move in with their aunt and the whole deal, and that was real stressful on them, he and Jeremiah, he's really kind of pulled himself up, and he's making a name for himself, and I hope it continues because he could be the next Joe Spinks that goes overseas and plays and makes money off of playing a game and setting himself up for life. And that's what we want in the end, is for them to have a successful life after high school.
And I kid you, this is actually my last question, I promise. For that coach that's wanting to, getting to school ball, I know it's changed. The game's changed from what it was to what it is now. What's your advice for that coach that's hesitant or thinks they want to pursue that? Because I've seen you, I'll be honest with you, Coach, I've heard negative and positive, but you seem to not bother because at the end of the day, you have one goal.
Well, my biggest advice to them would be, because I see a lot that do not do this when they get into it, ask questions. I was lost. I was coaching 13 and 14-year-old boys in 1996, and then I was handed a varsity girls program that had just won 28 games, and I had no clue what I was doing. And if you want to find out real quick, go sit on a varsity high school girls or boys bench with no experience and watch the game fly up and down the floor. You're lost. And I would go to Coach Linthicum, who had won 200 and some games at Round. And then when I got to Trinity, I sat in there and took notes during practices and ran drills. And I was there 4 hours plus every day, but it's paid off for me now. A lot of them want to get into it, and they think they can just do it. And, I didn't care. When I did cross country, I went and asked Coach Smith questions about cross country. He won 17 straight cross country conference championships in a row at Asheboro. I asked questions of him. When I did tennis, I went and found a tennis coach and asked. I didn't know anything about tennis. Darryl Barnes made me coach tennis at Trinity because the lady quit right at the start of the year. Go ask questions. Find people that's been doing it. Chester Gary is a great person. He's been in it forever, and he has coached every sport there is almost. Volleyball, basketball, football. I don't know if he ever messed with the baseball exams or not, but he's probably done track. And go talk to him. You can pick up things from those people that's been in it forever, and you'll be amazed. They'll want to talk to you. A lot of people won't approach them. They think they're, standoffish or whatever. They'll talk to you if you'll go and ask questions, and it will make you better. You can learn something from everybody. And I've gone to the clinics and all that stuff. I learn a lot more from other high school coaches, people that's where we're at, coaching the same type kids we're coaching, than I do listening to, the one that's got all the 4 and 5 stars and doing that. That stuff's, it's fun to listen to the stories, but you're going to learn more talking to people on your level.
I love it. And as you know, I just want to thank everybody for watching this episode of the Boro Buzz with Coach Nance. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and check out and share these future episodes. And before we sign off, He's probably not going to do it, but I'm going to ask him. Can we get the famous woo, Coach? Can we get the famous woo?
Absolutely. Give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair.
Woo!
Ready to dominate social media? Meet Core AI Media, your expert team of videographers and digital strategists powering data-driven campaigns with cutting-edge AI. We analyze, target, engage, monitor in real time, and deliver results that surprise industry standards. From skyrocketing engagement to crushing your goals, we are measured by results. Contact Core AI Media today at info@coreaimedia.com. Let's grow your brand fast. This episode is sponsored by Just Keep Swinging. From top quality equipment to custom apparel like hats, shirts, and more. They're more than just sporting goods store. They are here to support our athletes and community every step of the way. Whether you're gearing up for game day or looking to rep your team with fresh merch, Just Keep Swinging has you covered. Give them a follow today.